Welcome to Four-Wheel Drive Take a Deep Breath. You find me sitting, waiting patiently for my family. What we've done so far is we've travelled from the city of Cape Town all the way up the west coast, South Africa, Cape West Coast, into the fabled Richtersveld World Heritage Site, and I've just crossed into Namibia. And the reason why I'm waiting for my family is that we've given the Fortuna back and we're testing a vehicle best described as a family four-wheel drive. And I figured, how on earth do you test such a vehicle without a family? That was a good enough excuse to have them join me. And what we're going to be doing with them over the next series of episodes is exploring the true Namib desert. Unlike the Kalahari, unlike the Richtersveld, Namib is a true desert. Barely 10 kilometers from the border into Namibia, Noordhoven, on the main road north, there's a very, very distinct kopje. And I understand the view from it is spectacular. And there is a track leading right to the top. We're going up there now. This is what I love about testing four-wheel drives. I've barely been in the driver's seat for 10 minutes, and I'm about to go into low range and see what this thing can do off-road. The vehicle on test is the Mitsubishi Pajero DID 5-door wagon. It's based on a model first launched in 2002, so it's already been around for some time. Suspension is all independent. It has full-time four-wheel drive with Mitsubishi's Super Select automatic transmission. The engine is a 3.2-litre turbo diesel, also been around for some time. During this trip through Namibia, we are going to throw a lot at this vehicle. It's a tough test for any four-wheel drive, and we'll see if the Pajero meets up to my, so far, high expectations. My children are in the back, consisting of my three daughters from the right, Erin, Stephanie and Kate. I can see vehicles have been up there and they've struggled because there are big lumps and holes. They will be vital in testing this family four-wheel drive.
Give me the pillow back! Don't look down!
Yo, look at that view. Yo!
Get over me! We're gonna die!
Isn't that incredible?
Amazing.
Huh?
But I'm not gonna go.
Now there's Noordhoven, the border post, and that green patch there.
Hey, don't fancy falling down there. Kate! Come away from the edge, are you mad?
You see, this is what four-wheel drive can do that an ordinary car just can't.
Kate!
But, and this is a big but, it's got to have low-range gearing. Without it, we would still be on the main road with all the other ordinary cars. It is a tradition in Africa that once having traversed a difficult route, to place a stone on the traveller's pile. And we shall do just that. We have lost we've lost two chairs up the steep climb. They slid off the back. So we'll have to go back really slowly and stop halfway down and fetch them. Oh. Now they're bright blue, so there's one, there's the other.
Where are they?
They're right there, right in the steepest part of the slope.
There, I can see them.
Okay. Now we're in good shape here. We're in good shape. The car's gonna behave itself. Oh, it's three chairs and a tent.
What?
This is where it was the most bumpiest and steepest, so I'm not surprised really that they came off. I was remember that from for the dunes. This for me is where true Namibia begins. It begins here, first overnight stop, where you can look out at its enormous skies. The blue of the Namibian sky is, I think, like nowhere else on earth. It's extraordinary. They've had an enormous amount of rain in Namibia, so the yellow grass is yellower than I've ever seen it. They say that the rainfall in this part of the country hasn't been as good since 1963. The countryside is suddenly, as we drove north, becoming lush and thick and gorgeous. This is Klein Aus Vista, about 5 kilometers from the town of Aus. And our approach here was through this beautiful grassland to some small huts near the base of the mountain. And it's extraordinary. I didn't see them until we were right on top of them. They're beautifully hidden in the mountain. And so this, for me, is where our Namibia adventure truly begins. Namibia is crisscrossed by a network of well-maintained gravel roads. They're wide and smooth and dusty. Two things, though, that are synonymous with Namibia. Firstly, the landscape. It changes dramatically over such short distances. And wild animals still roam freely, well outside the game reserves. Aus is famous for its wild horses, and because my 3 children are all crazy on horses, I asked the guide at Klein Aus Vista to take us to see them. Before we head away from Klein Aus, my daughter's mad on horses. And that's a good enough reason to come and see the famous Namibian wild horses. And our guide, which came from the hotel, Elias, is taking us to see them this morning.
Actually, what happens with the wild horses, this is where they get their water from. They don't have any natural water. So this is a borehole about 130 meters deep underground, and then next to the borehole is the dam. The dam is just water collecting, and then what happens, they are pipe laid underground up to the crib where the horses drink their water from. So this is the only water supply that they have. Right in the beginning, before 1915, we had no wild horses in this gebied. No wild horses around here.
Yeah.
So the horses started coming in as from 1915 to 1918. That was a period of time that we had the First World War between the Germans and the Southwest Africans. That's when the horses started coming in. But then there has been many theories, many stories where the horses came from. But the best one which I took out is that about 6,000 horses were imported from Europe into Namibia. That was basically for the World War. And then from Lodewijk Harbor, they actually offloaded them with the cranes, and then they were brought here. But as they were brought here, they were not wild horses, they were tamed horses. So which means that they were kept in camps and so on. And then what happened, they threw bombs into the camps where the horses were. Most of the horses died, and then all the remaining horses, they escaped, they ran away. They could not go very far because the place where they were situated, they were water provided for them. So they actually came back to the water hole each and every day. Right now we're only having about 200 horses remaining. That is all the big ones and all the foals, the young foals, all together. And out of these 200 horses we're having, there's about 27 different families, which means that, as we can clearly see, they are not all like in one big herd. There's about 27 different families. Each and every family consists of a mare, a stallion, and then also the young foal. We do have bachelor groups of 2 male horses staying together, and also bachelor horses, like 1 male horse staying together without any, that doesn't associate with any other family. The area is very dry. The average rainfall per annum normally is about 80 to 90 millimeters for the whole year. This is the only place where they drink water, and depending on how much grass there is, they only graze in the radius of 5 kilometers around the water hole. Now, because the water hole, the grass is close to the water hole, they come and drink water every day.
Lüderitz is our next stop. It's a small fishing town, once the centre of the diamond mining industry that once thrived here. And this is Shark Island, the town's camping spot. As for tourists, though, Lüderitz hasn't much going for it, except for the excursions into the diamond mining areas around. But one thing Lüderitz is famous for is for its ghost towns. Coleman's Kop was developed after discovery of diamonds in the area in 1809. Named after a transport driver, Johnny Coleman, who during a dust storm abandoned his wagon on a slope opposite what was then a small settlement. Driven by the enormous wealth of the early diamond miners, the village was modelled like a German town. It had a hospital, ballroom, power station, a school, a theatre, and even an ice factory. It also boasted the first X-ray station in the Southern Hemisphere. Today, it is home to a small number of museum staff and quite a few beetles. We're staying at a place called Desert Camp. Desert Camp is a rather splendid self-catering lodge 4 kilometres north of Sisrim. Now, Sisrim is one of Namibia's premier tourist destinations, principally because it's very, very close to Sossusvlei. Sossusvlei is an amazing place in where a river, which the only way you can tell that there's a river or there has been a river there is the line of trees in the desert plains winds its way between two lines of extreme dunes. They're beautiful, they're red. In the late afternoon, early morning, they are just exquisite to photograph. It is really something that you can't miss if you come to Namibia. I've been a little bit disappointed on this visit. I think maybe the conservationists may be taking things too far. Many of the roads, the side roads, to some of the biggest dunes have been closed. I don't know why, but we could only find on our way down to Sossusvlei one of them that was open. And of course lots of people were there because now you're sharing fewer dunes amongst more people. In the area though, the landscape, the Namib landscape is absolutely exquisite, and of course we're going to see much more of that later on as we take our desert trip into the heart of the Namib in our four-wheel drive. The area itself is adorned with very nice luxury lodges. We have stayed here at Desert Camp and spent a little bit of time also at the Sossusvlei Lodge, which is a more upmarket establishment, beautifully laid out with lovely linens and candles, and you sit out and look at the landscape while having a lovely meal. And here, they're not tents and they're also not chalets, they're kind of a mixture. They're some of the most beautifully appointed self-catering chalets, if I can call them that I've ever seen. And we're off now north. We don't have actually very far to go today. We're meeting a group of people at Solitaire. Solitaire again is one of these, when you look at the map, it's misleading. You think it might be a town. It's actually a tiny little settlement. Again, it's there because of the tourist trade. And at Solitaire, we're going to meet a group of people, and we're going to experiment with guided trails. We're actually going to be going into the heart of the Namib with a group of people in an area where without a registered tour guide you're just simply not permitted to go. They've done this to protect the area, and we will be doing that later this day. Actually, we won't. Well, not yet anyway. You see, something happens very early each morning that is quite remarkable. Before it's even light, people arrive in trucks, followed by more people in cars. Together, they light up the desert. Everyone should have a top 10 list, 10 things that they must do before shuffling off this mortal coil. Well, this is one of mine. As you may know, I'm rather keen on flying, so I figured, how about seeing the Namib from the air? It's not just a ride in a hot air balloon, but a ride in one over the Namib desert. And not with a camera person either, but with my wife.
Hey, good morning everybody. My name is Paul, welcome on board. This pretty woman. I explain you quickly for landing, what position you have to take for landing. Okay? The position you have to take for landing. If the wind is cool, sweet, I tell you bend your knees, you handle the rope just near you and you bend your knees, okay? If the wind is very strong, fast, I tell you sporting landing, take position. We land this face. You put your back to the face, Milan. Your back there, back there, back there, back there. Under the rope in front of you. Yeah. Under the rope there, madam. Okay. And you squat. Very well. Don't take picture when you are sporting landing because we bomb you fly outside. Never put your finger here. Sometimes basket can like up the finger. Never handle this for me. And when we have finished to land, you wait until I tell you you can go out. Then you can go out. Okay, enjoy. We go.
Obvious sound, it's utterly silent. Now he's gone up to catch a bit of wind, and now the aircraft will now move in the direction that he wants. So he basically controls the direction by the height, because he knows what the wind is doing at different levels, and that's how he controls how a balloon steers. These grass circles are commonly referred to as fairy circles. This is because at night gangs of panga-wielding fairies appear out of nowhere and cut the grass. When daylight comes, they have to hide, but there's never enough time to complete the job, so the result are countless circles that lie like polka dots across the landscape. This explanation is just my own, but it matters not that it is daft, because nobody, no scientists, no geologists, no clergy have come up with a conclusive reason as to why they exist. They remain a puzzle to science. That's it, a puzzle. That's it. Martian children use them as stepping stones in a game they play when they leave their classrooms at night. And then it comes time for landing, and we all grab the ropes. What a very undignified way to come back to Earth. Well, the French did invent ballooning, so I suppose he knows what he's doing.
Écart.
Dus hier dat straight after. Right, can we get out now?
Okay, welcome on the ground. You can go slowly outside, take your time, don't fall please.
A champagne continental breakfast awaits the guests, but they have to earn it by a stroll through the grass.
One is hot water for tea, you just press here. Then you have a selection of tea, hot chocolate, brown sugar, white sugar, kebab fruit, salmon. The meat, the very dark slice is smoked zebra. We eat only the black strip of the zebra. The salami is a mix of game, cheese, pancake, pannekuchen ou crepe, bread at home, jam.
When you're flying the balloon,
Yeah.
notice you were going up to get the winds, and you were going down to get the winds.
Yeah.
You don't know what the wind's doing up there. How do you actually guess that?
I climb, I
Yeah.
just check my wind different level, what wind we have at different level. Then we can have, when we go low, we know approximately what kind of wind we have also.
So you have we're being met by a landing crew, and you were radioing them and telling them where you
Yeah.
estimated that you might end up.
Yeah, yeah. Then I know approximately. Sometimes we are just on the place.
On the thing?
Yeah. And sometimes.
This landing was interesting. I've flown in balloons a few times before and I've not tipped over.
Ah, yeah.
Was this just because a bit more wind than usual?
Little bit windy, yeah. Today it was a little bit windy, so that it's not possible. Normally we have 20% landing like this, sometimes more fast. And 80% we can land on the trailer.
Oh, okay.
It's very quiet.
Oh, okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Pleasure.
And I reckon that this should fit. This experience should fit on every adventurer's list of the 20 things you do before you die. But not just ballooning. Ballooning over the Namib.
Which direction you get the winds going?